afternoon, everybody, and or evening for some folks. Welcome. My name is Brittany J. Rowe. I am thrilled to be here today. I'm a program director for EcoRise. I I oversee our environmental literacy and green building programs for the Eastern United States, and I'm here with my colleague Abby. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Love to. Thanks, Brittany. My name is Abby Randall. I am Deputy Director for EcoRise, and I am a former middle and high school science teacher and EcoRise teacher back in the day. Used these resources with my students. So there's nothing I love more than sharing the power of these sustainability and STEM resources with other educators. And I know it's late for some of you, and maybe you have children around or a messy home, but if you're so inspired, we'd love for you to turn your cameras on and just be here with us. And if you have kids with you, they're welcome to join you. But if you are open to it, we'd love to see your faces.
We're gonna do a few breakouts while you're here, and so you'll have the opportunity to chat with each other. And so if you're feeling good about talking with some more educators after a long, full day of sessions, please feel free to dig in for the next 35 minutes or so.
And I see some friendly faces, so a little shout out to Maggie and Bart. I can't scroll all the way through the participants to see who's here. Brittany, is there anything in the chat you want to shout out before we dig in about how STEM and sustainability complement one another?
STEM education can inspire sustainability practices. We've got people noting different engineering aspects. I love the sustainability gives great real life context to STEM learning. Absolutely. We're going to be able to look at some examples of that today. PBL, project-based learning, is a really cool opportunity to bring in STEM and sustainability together. Absolutely. Thank you all for sharing.
So before we dive in, and we're hoping you'll walk away with some hands-on activities that you can use with your students right away in a remote or in-person learning environment, or both, or some variation. But we'll just introduce EcoRise briefly and give you some information at the end about how you can get access to more resources like the ones we shared today. But EcoRise is a social enterprise nonprofit based in Austin, Texas. We serve teachers all over the country. We believe that schools have the potential to serve as incubators for social innovations, and that youth have the power to design a sustainable future for all. Feels like this is a moment when we've never needed that more. Our K-12 or pre-K-12 program empowers youth to tackle real-world challenges in their communities. We use the lens of sustainability as well as design innovation, social entrepreneurship, and missing on here is green building as well. And so really there are three pillars to the resources that we offer, and we'll give you a little taste of all three. The first thing is standards aligned curriculum. These are aligned to next generation science standards, Common Core, as well as state standards in over a dozen different states. We're looking at themes ranging from water, waste, energy, food, public spaces, air quality, and transportation. And we're introducing students to these global concepts and helping them apply them at a hyper-local level, whether it's in their classroom, their community, or in their homes right now, if that's where they're learning from. We provide teacher professional development, which is what we're doing right now, as well as a student innovation fund, which funds student projects, which helps bring their green ideas to life. And so, one of the foundations of what we believe at EcoRise and the power of sustainability and STEM is creating authentic learning experiences for students. So when I was a physics teacher, we were talking about rockets and imagining students that they were designing a rocket to go to the moon, and that definitely captured some of their imaginations. But when I started talking to them about measuring the air that they breathe, or the water that they drink, or the food that they eat, that was when I really saw those light bulbs go off. Those are things that students are doing and interacting with every single day. And when you start to have them collect data, concerning those things, how much energy are you using and what are you using it to do and where does it come from, they're able to apply sort of really large concepts in a way that is tangible, and they can actually affect change in a very small amount of time when they're interacting with these different facets of sustainability in their lives. So nothing can tell sort of the story of what we do better than a video of kids doing this. So we wanted to take a moment to show you a short video, and we'll show you afterwards where you can find more examples like this. And without further ado,
At Timber Creek Elementary, we hatch chicken eggs every year, but we realized that we needed a safer place to keep our chicks. We wanted to find a place that could meet all of the needs of our growing chicks. We researched and found out that our chicks would need a quiet, safe space that is confined. We would also need a heat lamp for warmth, a water bowl, a food bowl, chicks, food, and litter. We searched our school, but we couldn't find a space that was both quiet and confined. After we collected data on the spaces in our school that might work, and looking at our data and choices, we found a quiet room that would work with a few modifications. Once we found the room, we started to search for hutches that would work in it. We wanted to be able to observe and learn from our chickens. We also knew that they would need a quiet space to escape to. Finally, we found the perfect choice. We created a plan and budget that we are excited about. Here are our plans. I think this will be a good place for the baby chicks because it will keep them safe. I think this will be a good place for the baby chick because it will keep them warm. I think this will be a good place for the baby chicks because we can see them through the window. I can't wait to watch that cute and fluffy baby chicks hatch and grow.
Brittany and I were talking just before this about how hearing those kids' voices makes us smile every single time. So this was a project that took place just outside of Houston a few years ago, and this is a standard in Texas that looks at habitats. But the beauty of the data collection is that you can take something that's about habitats and looking at biodiversity, and you start to incorporate other aspects of STEM. So you're looking at data collection, the students are graphing, so you're bringing in different aspects of the scientific process. And then, of course, the technology piece, right? These students are helping create this video. So go ahead, Brittany, were you going to say something?
Yeah, there was a question about if we could have the link for this. Absolutely. We're going to be sharing a whole bunch of links with you today and asking you to do a little bit of navigating to some other places at times to access different things. And when all of this is wrapped up, we'll make sure to share with you a list of the links so that you can easily access everything after the fact.
Thanks, Brittany. So I have been talking way too long, which is not good instructional practice. So we want to give you a chance all to reflect for a moment and talk with one another. So we're going to ask our fabulous moderator to zoom us out into small groups just for a couple of minutes. And we'll encourage you to turn your videos on if you're able. And we'll ask you to share, where did you see STEM or STEAM if we're incorporating the arts, because we know how important that is as we're engaging students and communicating about science and sustainability. Where did you see it in this activity, and how might it be adapted for your audience or your student population? So whenever you're ready, Vince.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, those of you who are still here, were you not whisked away?
Everybody was whisked away and then some came back.
Oh,
There was just me in my breakout room, so I don't know if that was an accident.
oh, that's okay, Amanda. Sorry about that. When we go into another one, you'll have some different folks to talk to, but you want to chat about it with me for the next minute or so?
Absolutely. I'm actually a teacher candidate, so I'm in school right now for teaching.
That's great.
So I don't have a great deal of experience. I'm mostly here to listen and learn, but I will be having a grade 8 class for my placement, hopefully in the spring. And I could see tying this into curriculum in terms of introducing them to biodiversity, just properties of living organisms, and that type of thing. I'm also from Ontario, Canada, so I'm not sure how it relates to American curriculum, but I'm sure it's relatively similar.
Sure. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. And I taught 8th grade for several years, and they are a very special bunch of individuals. I'll tell you, you probably remember being 14 and 15 years old. I know I do. I think you're going to have a lot of fun.
I'm hoping so. Right now, our placements have been postponed because of the pandemic, so I'm hoping to get a chance to go in the spring.
Yeah, that's great. Hi, Jen. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Great.
Good.
I'm energized. I love being with you folks. I get so energized by it. It makes me silly.
That's awesome. I came in basically as everybody else went out to breakout rooms, so that's why I did not get a chance to actually join. So sorry that I'm a little late.
Well, everyone will be coming back in about a minute or so anyway, and we just watched a video seeing some kids engaged in data collection around designing a chicken coop.
Awesome.
And folks are just thinking about how does that apply to STEM or STEAM if you're incorporating the arts. How might, and this was these were really little kids, but how might something like that apply to your middle or high schoolers, depending on who your audience is.
Easy. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brittany, everybody will be back in about 30 seconds.
Perfect.
Some are coming back already.
Welcome back, everyone. I think we're still having some folks trickle back in. I hope you were able to find some connections to your content or your students, whether they be tiny little ones like you saw in the video or almost grown seniors in high school.
All right, welcome back. Sorry if some of you were stranded. Our original idea was to do pairs, and Brittany wisely advised us against it because she said, what if somebody is not there? Someone's in a room by themselves, but it sounds like it still happened. Hopefully you got to reflect and ideally share with someone else. I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. And
the sample, and you can go to the next slide, Abby. We're not going to do a whole group debrief. I hope you had time to chat with the folks around you. The sample student work that you just watched in that video is an example of an eco audit in process or in progress. And when we think about an audit, frequently we think about, at least my mind goes to taxes. And essentially what it is it's an inspection. An audit is an inspection. And so one way that we connect students to action around sustainability is through the eco audit. It's the collecting and analyzing of data around a specific theme. Abby mentioned some earlier: waste, food, water, air, you name it. Eco audits are driven by students, and it allows them to make the decisions around what needs to be evaluated. The eco audits are something that are grounded in the science of sustainability. And one of the beautiful things as a humanities teacher myself is the cross-curricular connections that lend themselves to STEM and the humanities. And I think one of the coolest things about them is, their ability to spark questions and curiosity in your students and take them off into all kinds of directions that you on your own would never think about. It's really cool when you get to sit back and say, all right, what do you guys think? Because they'll come up with way more than you pouring over your lesson plan. And I believe in much of the work that we do with EcoRise, with our curriculum and our programming, is the belief that the eco audit really is a key to, or can be a key to, a really successful student-designed sustainability project. And when you're looking to foster student innovation and environmental stewardship in your classroom, this is a great place to look. Students can, for a project, they can conduct an eco audit and identify a challenge that exists based on what the data supports. So maybe they identify that there's just too many plastic bottles being wasted in their high school because there aren't any available water fountains and kids are buying water bottles instead. Maybe it's that the indoor air quality is a little low and, there needs to be some sort of solution to improve that in the classroom, in the school right now, if they're in their home. Maybe it's buying some plants. And so there's this idea of designing an impactful and feasible solution. And then the icing on the cake is, and I think that's it. The icing on the cake is this idea of securing funding. If you're doing a project with your kids and you're going through all of this, why not take that extra step and try to secure funding that will allow your students to implement a project? And I was just in a roundtable with our moderator, Vince, and one of the questions came up a reflection came up that frequently in our classrooms, our kids make plans, they do all of these things and then they make a plan and then it sort of stops there. And what a cool way to engage your kids at the next level and to show them what it means to do instead of just say. And I think the eco audit is a really great place to start with something like that. And so we now are going to check out a mini audit of sorts and investigate water waste. And I'm going to share with you a leaky faucet activity from one of our lessons called Drip, Drip, Drop. And I'll put the link in the chat right now and you can open it. The link here is to a student worksheet. And you'll utilize this in this activity that I'm going to ask you all to take a minute to do. For this activity, you're going to find or simulate a leaky faucet. And you're going to use a timer, either on your microwave, your phone, to count the number of drops that you have in this, that comes out of this leaky faucet in 60 seconds. And this is an opportunity for you to stand up, stretch, walk around, check into your laundry rooms, see if you've got a leak in your kitchen you hadn't noticed or in your bathroom. Maybe it's an outdoor faucet. I might need to let my dog out right now, so that might be a good opportunity to free two birds with one key. If you can't get up and move around, that's totally okay because I've got you covered. In the chat, I am putting in a link to a leaky faucet video. I find this to be hilarious, to be honest. It's a meditation video. I don't know if I could ever relax to a leaking faucet, but some people must be able to because it is an hour and 11 minutes. So if you can't get up and you can't move, turn on that video and watch it for 60 seconds. Utilize the worksheet that I've given you and collect some data. You can just write it on some scratch paper. We're gonna come back together. I'm gonna let you all turn your camera off, do what you need to do to gather some data, but we'll come back in 5 minutes and I'll put you back into groups and you can talk about the activity, the experience, and its application. So we'll come back at 42 past the hour.
And if anyone's having trouble accessing the worksheet, essentially your job is to count the number of drops in 60 seconds, right? So if you need to just jot it down on some scratch paper, you can do that as well. See you in 5 minutes.
Abby, this is incredibly timely. I walked by my neighbor's house 2 nights ago and heard his water hose on, and he wasn't home, but I thought he was watering. He has a lot of plants. And then last night I walked by again, and it was still going. And as it turns out, it was a mistake. So for about 30 hours, his water hose, it was a broken head. I should have gone out and videoed that.
I don't even want to know how many gallons of water that was.
Kicking myself for waiting so long to ask him about it. But you don't want to be a nosy neighbor.
Makes me wonder if that meditation video is more like a mindfulness video. Like, how can you, I don't know, overcome the anxiety that you feel while you're listening to that track?
We're coming back in about a minute and a half. Think about what reflections you might like to share with a group of folks in just a moment.
Thanks for those of you coming back and telling us in the chat what you found. So often there's no leaks, which was something we can celebrate, but we've certainly done this in schools where the teachers or students have uncovered some really large and concerning leaks. So
80 drips per minute in that YouTube video. I was wondering. I didn't time it myself, so I'm glad you did. Thanks, Maggie. Carolyn, I'm so glad you got to do that with your daughter. This is absolutely an activity that you can do at home. I know a lot of folks are at home with their kids right now and sometimes looking for educational opportunities. Definitely can continue to do something like this.
Wow, we have some discrepancy between how many drips in the video. We have 82, 80, and 85. All I would say pretty close.
Okay, well, let's dive back in. I would love for you all to have the opportunity to share some of your reactions to this activity. Hopefully you were able to see the worksheet. There's a full lesson plan that goes with it, and we'll show you how to access it. But we're gonna dash out into new breakout groups and spend 5 minutes just chatting through it. You can use the prompts here that you see on your screen as a guide, but feel free to branch out and talk about how something like this is useful. I would love to hear or I'd love for you to be able to share what virtual adaptations you might make for your students. If you're in the classroom, what is this like when you have 20 kids or 30 kids or 35 for some of you? How do you do something like this in a small setting? So just think it out and share your experiences. Vince, do you mind sending everyone off into groups again?
We're ready.
Fantastic. We'll see you at 48 after the hour.
Hey there.
Hey,
You came back.
did. I find that sometimes when I'm in the room, they don't talk as much.
Yes, I hear that. Okay, they have gotten the 60-second warning.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're an excellent moderator.
You're a kind person.
It's kind of a fun job, though. You just get to hang back, listen to what's going on, click a few buttons. I like to do that for my team members all the time.
I was telling one of my staff members who, well, never mind. For another.
Welcome back.
All right, bye again.
I was with a different group. Does that mean my first group kicked me out? Did they not like me?
No, there's so many people. It's good to mix and mingle.
Oh, okay.
You were not shunned from your group. Welcome back, everybody. I heard some a really good exchange of additional resources around activities like this. Melanie included in the chat a while ago an app that will calculate all of these things if the math isn't what you're after right now, and so encourage you to utilize that. Our lesson plan has some additional resources like that as well, and you'll be able to check it out a little later.
There was a great question in my group, which is a good segue into the last part of our session, which is to talk a little bit about some of the other types of projects, because the chicken coop and this water leaky faucet example are just two of hundreds of different types of data-driven projects that students can do around sustainability. But the question in our group was about helping students take action if custodial staff or administration aren't interested. And so I was sharing the power of having a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old present decision makers with data that they've collected, that they've graphed, that they have extrapolated to say this many gallons per year are being wasted and it costs you this many dollars and cents. And the power of the student voice as compared to the power of the teacher voice. You know, I know making requests to have things fixed in my classroom was never very effective. So empowering students to be the drivers of change, and when it's informed by data, can be very powerful. And I also shared that my students did an outdoor water audit when I was teaching 6th grade, and they found sprinklers that were running every day at noon in Texas in May. It's a lot of water waste. They calculated how much water was being wasted, how much water the grass actually needed, and they weren't getting a response from the principal, so they started tweeting the information to the school district, which was very effective. So I can't say that my administration loved me for that, but it certainly got, the change happened very quickly, and it costs nothing for the students to tweet. So maybe don't say that I told you that. Brittany, I believe you're going to share a link now so that folks can explore some other options. We have sort of a gallery on our website of different types of projects that have been done. And so this graphic that I'm showing is just basically aggregating the data from all the student projects. We work with over 5,000 teachers across the country. And so those teachers that have their students do these projects and report them through our portal, we put all the numbers together, and we can say that these students, with their powers combined, this is the impact that they're having in a given year, or this is actually since 2015.
So I included the link, and this takes you to some student projects that span, and it's just a sampling, like Abby said. There are hundreds of them, and the sky's the limit, and everyday teachers and students are figuring out new ways to make improvements around their communities and on their campuses. And so feel free to explore. I would like to let you know how to access Drip, Drip, Drop, the activity we just did, as well as some, what is it, Abby, 25 full lessons that we have in our freemium. If you'll go to the next slide, just for time, we have, and I apologize for all the links I'm sending your way. There are just so many, and I'll make sure that they're put for you in one nice, neat package. But we have a whole suite of free resources, which we call our freemium. And you know, if you want to access the full lesson, please go in and find Drip, Drip, Drop. But you can also get a sampling of standalone lessons from our 5 different curriculum suites. So whatever strikes your fancy, that includes our environmental literacy, which Drip, Drip, Drop is a part of. We have a social entrepreneurship curriculum. We have a biomimicry curriculum and green building that Abby mentioned earlier. And so grab some of those things for yourself and see what might be useful to use with your students, with your families. Before we go, since we have a little bit of time, I would love to just hear as a whole group, since we've only been able to be a part of a small group, I'd love to hear as a whole group any initial reactions you have to connecting STEM and sustainability through projects such as this. Any thoughts or additional wonderings that might be out there? We just dipped our toe in today.
And while folks are coming up with questions or ideas or reactions, I went back in the chat. I have just had a moment to do that and saw that Kelly had asked about building consensus among a classroom full of students about a challenge, which is an excellent question. I would say, starting with this, either the topic or the standard that you're teaching, if you are constricted by that, that's a great place to start if you're teaching about watersheds or biodiversity, and then having students collect data on that topic. It'll become very apparent quickly what is going well and what is not going well. So celebrating the successes of what's going well. If you're looking at biodiversity, maybe there's high, numbers of butterfly species, but not other types of species. Perhaps you notice that there's a great recycling program, but there's no composting. So students will sort of come across the successes and the challenges. But if you can't have students who agree on a challenge that they would like to solve or a solution, I've set up scenarios with my students where they work in teams and propose multiple solutions, and then we set up sort of a pitch competition where they pitch their solutions to one another or to an authentic audience of parents or other teachers or decision makers in the district, and rate one another on a rubric. And so, you know, and I've had students address different challenges in a classroom, which can be great because then you're tackling lots of different things at once.
Thank you, Abby. And you know, you all can connect with us on social media, of course, at EcoRise. You can find out what we're doing, what other educators like yourselves are doing. You can get inspired. You can share your own thoughts and comments. You can also find out when and where we have other workshops if you want to dig in anymore to this idea, because we have so many folks who want to just do this work, and it's so fun to collaborate with you all. So find us on your favorite social media app and see what we're doing. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out. Our support email address is on the next slide, support@ecorise.org. And to be honest, the email is going to come to me and it's going to come to Abby. So whatever you need, we're here to answer your questions or help you stay energized around this work that you're doing. Thank you for coming today.
And we'll stick around for questions, or we can share more examples. I have dozens of examples I can tell you from my own experience as students. So, but thank you all so much for joining us, and hope you enjoy the resources.
Hi, Melanie. I work in a school district. One of the questions I had, and I was trying to look on your website really quick, but use of materials, like for teachers and that kind of stuff. I am at the district level, so sometimes publishing and all that kind of stuff is a question. So I was just asking if your materials are available, or do we need to get permission, all that kind of stuff.
Thank you so much for asking, Melanie. You can have any teachers can use that link that you just shared and enroll. What school district are you in?
I'm in Maryland. It's Anne Arundel County Public Schools.
Okay.
And so when we're writing curriculum, if we're trying to use resources, obviously it's not publicly published, but
Right.
It's, so to say, published to our teachers as
Right.
part of our curriculum documents. So
yeah. Either leave your email in the chat or reach out to us at support, because we work very closely with school districts all the time, help to design, you know, grade level units or content area units, and just like work out those little details. But the short answer is yes, we'd love to make those available to your teachers, and definitely reach out and we'll see how we can make them most readily accessible to you. And we work actually in DC and Maryland quite often. So would love to learn more about the work you're doing and support it.